is we're going to go through the questions in the chat. I have my lovely coworker, Rachel, here, who's going to help moderate or mediate the chat questions. And so what we'll do is we'll run through all the questions that came in the chat first, and then after the chat questions have been answered to our best ability, we will jump right into live questions.
Okay, ready to get this started.
Thanks, Rachel.
So as a heads up, there's quite a few. So the first question is from Judy. Is there any land tenure / ownership / lease requirements as part of the application?
No, there is not.
Are there minimum urban farm site sizes preferred or required? I didn't see any of this info in the RFA.
I'm sorry, what was that question? Is there a what?
Are there minimum urban farm site sizes preferred or required?
No, there are no size requirements at all.
Great. And then Lori asked, are school farms included under community gardens?
So school districts, if it's a school district and they're applying for a farm, that's actually considered part of local government, public schools. And so we actually are encouraging folks to apply to the farm to school grant for those types of applications. Right now, schools, public schools are currently not eligible entities for this application. But please refer to the farm to school grant opportunities that will be coming in the future.
And then I'm not sure which part of the presentation this applied to, but Wes mentioned I would add access to biophilic environment and nature for physical and mental health.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe he was talking about the benefits of urban ag. Thanks for that comment.
Yeah. Megan asked, can the food grown be donated?
Yes, of course. Yes, the food absolutely can be donated. The food does not need to be for sale.
Perfect. And Chandra asked, can you recommend urban agriculture for communities that are outside the scope mentioned? Are there any grant giving agencies?
I think that for the purpose of this, there are, if you look, I'll put a resource up. How could I do this? Yes, there are other, the USDA does not, has an urban agriculture grant program. So I would recommend that you do some research about the USDA. It's called the UAIP, Urban Ag Innovations and Production, and look through the resources that they have there. They're able to serve areas outside of the 25-mile zone.
Okay. And then Antsu asked, how do you find Track 1 organizations in the LA region?
How do you find? Was that the question? Or how do you define?
Yeah. How to find Track 1 organizations in the LA region?
Yeah, so in February, when we know who is going to get an award, there will be an announcement where all of the awarded community-based organizations for each region will be published to the public. So there will be an announcement come February or around that time frame where all of the funded organizations in both Track 1 and Track 2 will be made public.
And then Rula asked, will there be a list of Track 1 recipients for Track 2 applicants to access?
Yes, it's pretty, yeah, it'll be on our website.
Okay. And do the subawardees have to be NPOS? Can they be community members?
Yes, the subawardees can be community members, yes.
Tony asked, which region does Modesto fall into?
Modesto is its own city, so you could apply through Track 2. I guess I'm wondering if he's asking, okay, so I guess the question is, if your city is not in a designated region, you would have the capacity, you would have the ability to apply to the statewide provider. So if you don't see your city within the regions listed, you will be able to apply to whoever is providing subawards as the statewide provider.
Chi asked, can the subawards then further distribute mini funds to urban farmers?
Yes. Yes, subawards can be redistributed to as mini grants to urban farmers, yes. However, one thing to know is that the indirect cost remains the same. You cannot continue to charge indirect costs over and over again. So.
Okay.
But yes.
Rosemary asked, why is Riverside County missing?
Well, so they're going to be covered by, essentially what happened is that they're pretty much the 5 largest urban areas in California. It was just a way of designating different regions in the state. So Riverside, same thing, would also be eligible to apply for subawards through the statewide provider.
Perfect. Sandra asked, can we speak to newly organizing organizations that aren't yet established as a business or nonprofit and are in process hoping to fund a feasibility study to get things off the ground? How would that affect applications?
Oh, unfortunately, this is really an implementation grant for the most part. So if you're an organization or you're a fledgling concept that is wanting to become something, you do need a track record of having been in operation for a year. So the 2022 small business designation would still be an eligibility factor.
Rula asked, if we are awarded track 2 funding, can we also apply for funding from track 1 recipients?
So no, if you are awarded a track 2 grant, you may not apply for any more funding from a track 1 organization.
Okay. Patrick asked, do you need to have your subaward partners identified in advance of completing the application?
No, you do not. You do not need to have your subaward partners identified. I mean, a big part of this is developing an outreach and communications plan so that you can reach lots of folks. So no, that is not a requirement.
Great. And Chandra asked, please elaborate for East Bay subaward organizations for track 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not understanding that question.
Chandra, I don't know if you're able to explain a little more about what you're asking for, elaborating for the East Bay subawards.
I live in East Bay Dublin.
Okay.
Which organization should I talk to?
We won't know you have to wait until the track 1 funded organizations are announced, which won't happen until February of 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I think we mentioned this, but if you want to touch on it again, Julia asked, can school districts apply for track 2?
So right now, school districts are considered ineligible if they're public school districts because there is the farm to school grant is really focused on that. And the part of the challenge is just that in order to apply for track 2, you must meet the definition of a qualified small business. And so that excludes schools.
Karen asked, do California Native American tribes have to meet the location eligibility as either grantees or subaward grantees, being 25 miles from a population of 50,000 people?
So right now, yes, the answer is yes. We are asking folks to be, there's lots of tribal nonprofit organizations and community work happening within urban areas. So we're going to, so right now, yes, that is the requirement.
Okay. Isabel asked, can track 2 applicants include a subcontractor in their budget?
Yes, there's another document in the RFA. So if you click on the request for applications, you'll see something that says a contractor guidelines, and it'll just describe the process of what that entails. But the answer is yes, you may include contractor costs in your application for sure.
Great. And then Andrew asked, for track 2, can some funds be applied to a land purchase?
Yeah, there is. That's part of the infrastructure, like list of allowable costs is land. So that would be okay.
Jordan asked, what if the applicant is a new nonprofit that hasn't had a full year's revenue report for track 2?
Yeah, so unfortunately, if you haven't been operating during the taxable year of 2022 at this time, you would not be eligible.
Okay, and then for track 2, can a nonprofit with revenue over 5 million apply if our urban ag program has a program budget less than 5 million? So a nonprofit with revenue over 5 million applying with the urban ag program budget being less than 5 million.
So I'm going to table that question, and I have to talk to the administrative office to see what the answer would be for that. I can't really answer that right now, but thanks for asking, and I will include that. One thing that I should mention is all of these questions, I'm going to type them up and write the answers out, and they will be published to the website by the end of the week or by the end of next week. So, so just FYI, if you did not get your question answered, I will be sure to include the answer typed up in written form, and it will be available in that document.
Great. And Nicole asked, would a vehicle used to transport volunteers and staff, as well as gardening tools, etc., be considered an allowable cost?
Yeah, it's a piece of equipment for sure. Yep, a vehicle for vegetable delivery, volunteers, whatever, all of those things, if they're working towards your project, would absolutely qualify.
Great. And then for track 2, can the team compromise? Oh, sorry, I am struggling with my words right now. Can a team comprise subcontractors with specific expertise?
Can a team comprise of so the entire? If someone, whoever's question that is, if you could send an email to the Q&A there, I think I need to get a lot more information before I can answer that question. So I'll have to table that, but if someone could reach out with the specifics, or we can have a conversation about the details of that, that would be helpful.
Okay. And then additionally, how will application scoring points be affected if the project includes market sales and economic development, generating market value chains from the site?
Yeah, that's another allowable. There's no pros or cons of that approach. A project would be eligible to apply who's got that as part of its goal.
Richard asked, will applicants receive critiques from the review process, successful and unsuccessful applications?
That's something that I'll have to answer later as we kind of like learn more about the capacity that we'll have at that time. So yeah, I'll have to answer that question when we sort of are a little bit closer to dealing with awards and whatnot. So I'll table that one and get back to you guys.
Okay. And then Raul asked, can you talk about CCI PPM eligibility? There's a scoring scale to 4.0.
I actually don't know what any of that means.
Raul, would you be able to clarify on that one if you're still on the call?
Oh, so I'm sorry, what was the question? So it's about the priority populations map. Can you reread the question? Or is Raul available to clarify?
Yeah, can you talk about CCI PPM eligibility? There's a scoring scale to 4.0.
Okay, I actually can't answer that. I think I need some clarification on the question.
Okay. Taisha, oh yeah, well, I was like, I'll make a note that we'll
yeah, we'll answer that one in writing.
Yeah. And then Taisha asked, what happens if the subaward region is not in my region? Can I collaborate with a region outside of my region?
Yeah, so if you have, if you want to apply for a subaward, you'll see that there's going to be an organizations that are having statewide reach. So you would apply to whoever is the statewide provider for subaward funding.
Tammy asked, how do we find our local community to help us?
I'm not sure I understand the context.
Tammy, would you be able to provide clarification on that one?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how are you? Yes, you had stated in the meeting to contact our local community for help filling out the grants. You said, or to help with our far as setting up, or if whatever help we need with our farm business. I have a 20-acre farm, and I've been signed up with you guys for the past 2 years. I want to make sure I qualify this year, but I just need local help because I think I just have a problem with filling out the application. There are some farming information or farming codes per se that I may not know how to, relate or understand or, put in form onto your application.
So there are no farming codes in this application at all.
Okay.
So you won't need that information at all. Yeah, in terms of help filling out the application and working your way through Amplifind, the web portal that this application is in, I would really encourage you to attend the webinar that Amplifind is hosting, where they'll literally walk you through how to create a registration and log in to the system. And then they're going to go through every single question in that Amplifind portal and guide you through how to answer them. So I think that might be really helpful. And that if you can't make that, Tammy, live, the recording will be available as well. So you can watch it over and over again, pause it, and then, do the instructions or so on. So definitely keep your eye open for the Amplifind technical assistance one that's happening in September. The information's on our website and it should make it much more simple for you to be able to go through the process of creating a login and answering all of the questions.
What day is it? I'm sorry. What day is that going to be on?
If you're applying for track 2, the information is on our website as well as the link to join. But it's going to be Thursday, September 7th, and the details of the time and everything, that's going to be at 4 p.m. Yeah, 4 to 5:30. So yeah, check that out. It should be really helpful if you're feeling overwhelmed. Yes, that's for Amplifind for the whole application itself.
Now, how do we contact you personally if we need to ask a question?
Yeah, so you can either email the CA Urban Ag, the general mailbox that comes to me, or you can also email me. It's all the same. It's all going to come to the same inbox anyway. So feel free to just go ahead and email that one that's on the website as well. It's like caurbanag@cdfa.ca.gov. But that's the email and that'll reach me directly. Yep.
I'm sorry, you Sarah?
I am.
Is your name Sarah?
Yes.
Hey, hi. Okay. One other question, and I'll let you go. I did have revenue of over $1,000 last year, 2022. But right now they have not processed my taxes for last year yet. My CPA, tax preparer, because of the all the stuff going on in the world, they put it on hold until October. I'm one of those ones that was able to,
Yeah.
So what can we do?
Tammy, why don't I try and get the answers to that? I actually don't have an answer right now that I want to say, but let me see what I can find out. And can you reach out to me so we can connect?
Yes. Where's your phone number? Is it email? Let me see. I think.
Yeah, feel free to email me if that's okay. Otherwise.
Oh, I have spoke to you before. I spoke to you in the past, not too long ago. And Mr. Hernandez. Victor?
Oh, yeah, he's USDA. Yeah, he's a federal person, not state, but yes.
Right.
So.
Oh, okay. Well, he gave me your phone number. I spoke to you, I don't know, a few weeks ago, but I can't find your phone number. So can you send it to me?
Yeah. Sorry, we have so many questions to get to. I will make sure that we get in contact for sure. Okay. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next one we have from Allie is regarding track 1. Do statewide applications need to subaward to every region listed? Can the subaward to areas not listed but still meet the definition of urban?
100%, yes. Yeah, the statewide ones have any qualified urban area. So anywhere that's within 25 miles of a population of 50,000 people, is eligible for subaward funding through a statewide provider.
Great. And then Emily asked, are nonprofit organizations eligible to apply for school farms?
And if the nonprofit organization is applying for a project that's taking place on school property, yes, that is an eligible project. The applicant is eligible. As long as the applicant meets the qualified small business definition criteria and the other eligibility criteria for track 1, then they are eligible to apply.
Reese asked, was wondering if the grant will cover loans, including interest, and also if we get a vehicle with the grant, can it cover the transportation costs, maintenance, repairs, gas, etc.?
Let me table that one. I'm going to table that one because I don't want to answer it incorrectly. So I will have a written response to that one in the next couple of days. I'm sorry. But in terms of the vehicle, yes, like you need a vehicle to do deliveries of produce or whatever your programming entails. That is an allowable expense.
Mario asked, is San Diego County included in San Diego?
Yes.
Okay, and then Sylvia asked, for taking a quick look at the priority populations map, are certain communities priorities over others? For example, disadvantaged tribal lands get more points and a buffer lower income?
No, there's no, that's just a qualifier. You just have to meet one of those in order to be eligible to apply, but there's no gradient or scores tied to that.
Okay. Judith asked for some clarity on the school sites. For school sites that have closed, are no longer functioning as a school, and are repurposed for community purposes, will those sites qualify as community gardens?
Yeah, and actually, that's a great question, Judith. Thanks for bringing that up. Again, so just for clarity, if you are an urban farm program that is working on a school property, then and you're a 501c3 or you're an LLC or you're a sole proprietorship or whatever, your project is eligible to apply. It's just that school districts themselves are not eligible to apply. I hope, does that clarify?
Perfect. Thanks, Judith. And then another question from Karen. She asked, can you apply for track 2 if you're a nonprofit maintaining and providing programming in the community garden adjacent to a public school? Can we use the letter of support provided by the school principal?
100%. Yes. All of that is very eligible.
Perfect. Daniel asked, is track 1 limited to only giving subawards within their urban limit? So LA and Long Beach can only give subawards within that area, not Ventura County, which is 25 miles from the region.
Oh, no, that would still be eligible. It's within, there's just no way with like the English language to explain the scope of a space, but it's the region, so a Los Angeles region and a CBO that has a grassroots connection to a project in Ventura, that would be fine.
Perfect. Can track 2 urban ag funding be combined with CDFA's farm to school grant funding?
Yes, I mean, we can't double up. You can't charge for the same exact activities that you've already had funded by the other grants. So you can't essentially say the activities that I had funded through the farm to school grant, can I also have those same activities funded by this grant? The answer would be no, but I think that maybe what's being asked is if you have farm to school funding, can you also apply for this grant? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, as long as you're funding different activities.
Perfect. Isabel asked, I saw CDFA's contractor guidelines linked to the RFA. Do subcontractors providing administrative TA for track 2 need to go through a bid process?
I'm going to table that because I think I need to ask the grants administration's office about that. So I will have to get back to you on that question.
Okay. Reese asked, do small businesses or farms have to provide taxable income from 2022, or is that just for the nonprofits?
Sorry, there's do they have to provide actually there's no actual requirement to provide. It's more of like a question, and there's, what can I say? you just have to answer the question in the application, just sort of stating that you meet these eligibility requirements, but we're not collecting financial records during the application period. Yeah.
Okay. Janine asked, can a nonprofit apply that doesn't have a gross revenue of more than 1,000 in 2022? What if they all donate their time and money to serve the community fresh produce and have no revenue?
Okay, yeah. Well, then that's a really, really good point. And I think that I'll have to make a clarification, because I think that that's an excellent question and a really good point that for organizations that are completely donations based, it would make sense. So let me work on that. There will be a follow-up to that question. So please look for the follow-up answer coming out in the next 2 weeks. So I'm just going to kind of ambiguously say I need to work on that, because that's a really good point that I need to clarify.
Okay. And then this next question is about the Amplifind link. And I'm putting the Urban Ag site in the chat right now. So for the question about the Amplifind links, if you scroll down to the Apply for the Urban Ag Grant Program drop down, right above the Request for Applications link, there's a Track 1 and Track 2 link. And those are will both go to your Amplifind portal.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah. And then Julia asked, can grant activities take place in the schools if activities are led by a nonprofit or other qualifying entity and not the school district itself?
Yes.
Okay. And for Track 2, does the purchase of farmland in French Camp, California qualify as within the 25-mile boundary if the nonprofit serves Stockton?
As long as the area is within the defined need of meeting an urban area as defined, so 25 miles within a community, from a community of 50,000 or more, that would be land purchase is an eligible expense. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my spot of where I was at. Judy asked, can grant funding be used by a nonprofit to develop an urban farm on public undeveloped property?
Yes, you could do a site development work with this grant funding, yes.
Okay. For Track 2, I wanted to confirm that projects must be within the 25-mile boundary from urban population anywhere in California, not just the 5 geographic priorities for Track 1. Sounds like people are confused about that of various areas.
Okay, yes. So for Track 2, those regions that are described in Track 1 are meaningless. You don't need to know anything about regions for Track 2. Anybody who wants to apply for Track 2 simply needs to be within 25 miles of a population of 50,000 people or more.
Great. And then Tony mentioned they missed the reply for earlier about which region does Modesto and Stanislaus County fall into?
Right. And so I think that my answer was just that Modesto and Stanislaus would just be considered part of the statewide group. So you would be able to apply for, if you're looking, I'm assuming maybe you're interested in some of that pass-through funding, you would look towards your, towards the statewide providers for that. I hope that answers the question. It's not in a region.
And Sue asked, for the map showing priority populations, is the buffer area under consideration centered around the work site or the proposed work site?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the end of that question. Is the what?
For the priority populations map, is the buffer area under consideration centered around the work site or the proposed work site?
I'm not really clear on what the question is. Is the question whether or not the buffer area counts? And if that's the question, then the answer is yes, that buffer area still qualifies.
Nancy, if you're still here, would you be able to provide clarification on what you're asking?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you go to that priority map, you have to put in an address and then you get the zones where the priority populations are defined. And So the nonprofit that I'm working for is located in one area, and we're surrounded by priority populations, but our work site or our proposed work site is a different geographic site with a different coordinate. And so which area do you want me to do the map analysis for?
Great.
My site or the proposed work site?
Awesome question. Thank you. So it's the work site. The work site, the place where the actual activity is happening. Your other site, which sounds more like where your office is maybe, or other things like that, would just be kind of like the mailing address or the organizational address. But the project site would be the location that you mentioned. That is where the actual urban agriculture work is happening.
Okay, and then this is the last question I have in the chat, and then we can move
Great.
on to raised hands. So this last one is, Tammy said, I'm in need of a tractor for the farm for grading and seeding ASAP. Do you know anyone that can help me? We're going to host classes on the farm with the local and long distance schools to educate them on urban farming in Kern County. Are there funds for a bus or a van for the low income families or schools in lower income areas?
So yeah, I mean, again, equipment, so a tractor for a project that will qualify as an urban ag project, all of that, a tractor would count as a piece of equipment. So you could definitely write a grant for that. So yeah, any kind of equipment that you need to operate your program is an allowable expense as long as your project is in an eligible area. So hopefully that helps.
Perfect. And then I think we can move on to the raised hand. So Tammy, I don't know if your questions have all been answered now, or if you had anything, any other questions you wanted to share.
Okay, I think we can keep going.
Sounds good. And then Rochelle, you're up next.
Sorry, do I unmute?
Laura, you're off mute. We can hear you.
So my question is about the map, and I'm sorry if this is a repeat, but it's the map that with the low income designations, that with the California, whatever it is. So does it have, it says on the application, in the app, oh wait, I got locked out. Basically, it says that you have to be in that area, and I'm not talking about the basic qualification. I'm talking about this, where you have to show census information for track 2. Do you it says you have to be in it or directly serve. And so how do you define directly serving? Is it a mileage designation, or you know what I mean?
I'm a little confused. So, so essentially, let's say that you are a program that is doing a pop-up farm stand at an affordable housing complex. And so then you would use the location that you're serving as a community served. So wherever that apartment complex is would be one of your census tract areas. Does that sort of help clarify?
Areas. How close does the work area have to be to that kind of to a low income?
Oh, it would have to be in a low income area. Yeah. Or one of those designated regions. Yes. It could not be.
Okay. All right. Because it says has to be in or directly serving. So
it says in, or does it say led by and or directly serve?
On the application, it says it has to be in or directly serving.
Oh, I see what it's. Okay, so what they're saying is whether or not is that the project. So let's say that you're an urban farm plot somewhere. Either the plot has to be located in one of those qualified spaces, or it has to be serving communities in a qualified space like that. So let's say that the farm is in a buffer area or is not in one of those qualified areas, but then serves markets or serves community members from all these designated areas. You would either list the census tracts of the communities that you're serving, or you would list the census tracts of where your farm plots are, for example. Does that help?
Yeah, so either the produce has to be grown in, I'm sorry to belabor it, but I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah.
In it, or we have to have like a sales outlet, let's say, in
Or
that.
distribution. Doesn't have to be for sale. It could be distribution or some other kind of engagement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. Okay, I think the next one up is Janine.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I wanted to ask for requesting in track 2 to purchase land. What additional documentation is required? Because I didn't know if it was required that we have some information on the property, the address, and then with the date that the grant's given out, you know, that property might have sold. So I just wanted some guidelines or some tips on how to navigate that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't change anything about the time frame that it takes to evaluate all the applications, and so that is the time frame that's going to be the way things roll out. With regards to all of the questions about paperwork and what kind of documentation would be needed, I'll need to actually consult with the grants administration's department to see what that looks like. I don't have an answer to that right now, so I'll have to actually look through, come up with a process for that. But all I can say right now is that land is an allowable cost. But thank you for asking that question. I will need to circle back and get you the answers that you need.
Okay, thank you so much. We have been looking at some properties, so we do have a few, and we could submit that just to show like this is the average price of this much, you know, property and whatnot. So that way we at least can show like this is honestly like, you know, what the prices are for what we're asking for, because 300,000 is a lot of dollars. So want to make sure that it's, you know, being asked for the right thing. So thank you.
For sure. You're welcome. Casey?
Hi, thank you. I have a question. I think you spoke to this, but I was a little confused and just wanted to clarify about the indirect rate for, so if there's a lead applicant for a track 1 grant, would the 30% indirect rate apply to the subawardees as well?
So no, only 30% of the total funds can be used for indirect costs.
Okay.
So what if the organization wants to offer that, then that would have to be budgeted for somehow. But yeah, that is a great question. You know what, Casey, let me add that to the list of questions that I want to do a little research on.
Okay.
I'll get you a written answer to that in the Q&A that I'll post a document with all these answers soon.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I see Julia.
Yeah, thank you. So I have sort of a 2-part question. The first part is, I'm with the University of California, so that sort of shapes where I'm asking my question. So for track 1, my first question is if only one application can be submitted across the whole entity, so the whole University of California, the whole Cal State University system, or like, you know, subdivisions, campuses, etc.
Yeah, it would be, you know, by the university itself, whoever, not the entire. Sorry, say that again, Julia.
So one application for the entire University of California?
No. So yeah, so like, let's say Davis wants to apply to be a subawardee distributor, and then so does, you know, Santa Barbara. They would be separate applications. They would not be considered, like the only, yes. So the answer is multiple can apply.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe an offline question, but you see ag and natural resources as a statewide division, but we have representation in each county. So I don't know if that's a rabbit hole, but if you're able to answer it quickly, would it be by county or by the statewide division?
Oh, I'm not able to answer that quickly, so I
Okay.
will, Julia, maybe we can connect about that
Offline?
specifically. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and then my follow-up to that question is, if we're in a region
Mhm.
and we know another entity is applying to track one, is
Mhm.
it better just like say they have an awesome application and it's like, okay, we bow out and we do track two?
Mhm.
Or is there like, I guess, is there a limited number of track one awards? And if we know a strong entity is leading that, we shouldn't also submit a proposal? Or is there could be
I mean,
many track one applicants for regions?
Yeah, there could be it's hard for me to know because I haven't seen any applications, so I don't know like what's gonna happen. But there is no like designated hard stop of how many applicants. So let's say that for track one for the Bay Area, we get multiple organizations that want $250,000 to distribute, you know, as opposed to one organization that wants $800,000, then it just depends. So there's not like a really straightforward way for me to answer that, other than I would just encourage you to apply wherever your strengths are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be at least one per region, but not
Oh.
just one per region.
Oh, absolutely. At least
Okay.
one per region. Likely more. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Ansu, John?
Oh, thank you so much. To go back to the map, my
Mhm.
area is a patchwork of blocks, really. In each block, it could be a priority population or not. And so I just want to clarify that your work site may be serving blocks that are not immediately sort of adjoining the work site, but that are serviced by the product that we are growing. And so that would be acceptable to you. And we can
Yes.
describe that when we describe the priority population served. Okay.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So either the project need to be led by or serve a priority population. So yes, both of those, that situation would qualify.
And you're not going to be a stickler on, oh, look, this block doesn't exactly adjoin your work site.
They don't have to be adjoined. It could be across the county. There's no reason that they need to be touching each other or anything like that, or like right next to each other. Yeah.
And there's no, so are we still subject to the sort of 25-mile radius, or is it
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of the areas need to be in urban, every piece of work that anyone in this room is going to do still needs to be in a designated urban area as defined.
And that wasn't my question. The question is, the priority populations that we serve may not be directly adjoining our work site. However, do they need to be within a radius of 25 miles from the work site, or can they be generally across the city?
Yeah, it could be generally across the city. The 25 miles is only a way to designate things as a qualifying as urban. That's all. So the answer is no, you do not need to be within. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Daniel, I see you with your hand up.
Yeah, I think my question was, I put it in the chat, but basically it's asking if the project and service area have to be designated community, disadvantaged community designation, or does the low income designation qualify as well?
They both qualify. They both qualify, Daniel. Yep. So either one on that priority populations map is all good. So either or and both. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's no higher score in serving the disadvantaged community over the low income designation, right?
Right now, there's no points associated with it. It's just ensuring that projects are doing one of those things.
Perfect. Thanks, Rachel. And I really appreciate the way you've answered all the questions. So I just wanted to give you that shout out.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. I see, does Ansu, do you have your hand up again, or is that just a remaining hand up?
I'm going to pull it down right now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay.
Okay. So it looks like we're at 2:31, so I wanted to note the time. But we do have two more questions that have come into the chat if we want to go through those
Okay, yeah, let's get through the two and then we will need to shut it down for there. But I'll be at the office hours, everybody, for, you know, if anybody needs anything, please don't hesitate to join me in the Zoom room. So let's go ahead and get through those last two questions real quick. And if anyone needs to jump off, this will all be available. This is being recorded. So thank you for your participation. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to reading your applications. Okay, so last two questions.
Okay, so Clark asked, what boundary map do I use for Temecula or Hemet to determine the boundaries?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
Clark, are you still here? Would you be able to provide clarification?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, we're on the edge of like 25 miles. So I'm wondering which map I need to use to start my driving of 25 miles to figure out the distance.
Oh, you could literally use like, do you like Google Maps or do you like whatever mapping tool? Just whatever your address is. It just needs to be within 25 miles driving distance of an urban area of 50,000 people. So please use whatever mapping tool you like.
Okay, just to confirm. So I've been Googling the 92592 zip code, and then so I just pick that closest boundary and drive from that point.
Yeah, you can put whatever the address is of your project because that's going to have a specific address, and then the name of the urban area that you're closest to, and that'll do it.
I see. Okay. All right. I'll give that a shot. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Clark. And last one.
And the last one's from Reese, which I don't know if you're able to come off mute, Reese. You said you had a question regarding tribal registration.
Yeah. So I have people who are interested in this grant, and some of them have registration, some of them are native but haven't been federally recognized or by like a sheriff. I was just wondering, like, if that were the only, or like, I guess this could be a deeper conversation too, like, maybe something about like.
Hey Reese, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're very choppy. Like I can't really hear anything you're saying. I don't know. Maybe your internet isn't connectivity isn't awesome. But would you mind giving me sending me a message and maybe we can set up a time to connect, whether it's over a call or anything that I can do to help get the answer to your question. But I don't think I'm going to be able to understand what you're saying. Sorry, Reese, I don't know if you can still hear me, but please just message the email that's on the website and that'll come directly to my inbox. So, and okay, we're 5 minutes.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I completely got booted off and then missed everything you just said, but I can check the recording or
Reese, I just said your internet connection was so bad I couldn't hear your question. So just reach out to me and we should connect so that we can have a conversation. Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. All right, y'all. Well, we're 5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Thanks for putting the email there in the chat, Rachel. Just want to say thank you for everybody. Thank you for your participation. I'm super excited to see. I'm here to help. I'll be there in the office hours. And yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing and don't hesitate to reach out with more questions. So we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day and thank you for your time.